Hey guys, it's just math, y'all. We are here today and we are going to be working with introducing graphing. Okay, so Math 98 and Introduction to Graphing, Chapter 3, Graphing Basics. Okay, so we're going to go through this really quickly, just some vocab. You need to know these words here and know how to label the graph with these following words. Okay, so the origin is the first one. All right, the origin is what we would consider the beginning, and it's the center of the graph. This point right here is 0, 0, and that is called the origin. Okay, there's that point. All right, so now if you'll notice the quadrants, we have quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. All right, and you notice we have 4 sections. Quadrant 1 is right here, and then we go counterclockwise from there. Quadrant 1 is where we have all our positive numbers, positive, and so then we go counterclockwise. So this will be quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and this is quadrant 4. Okay, and then the points. All right, so now we remember each point is an X and a Y, and now these are always in ABC order, so you always know that the first one is the X and the second one's the Y, and so they're always in ABC order. The X is a right or left movement, and the Y is up or down. So when we have the point 3, negative 4, that is 3 to the left and 4 down. So watch this. I'm going to use a really light green here. I'm going to make it really tiny. Okay, so 3, negative 4. If I start at the origin, I go 3, positive 3, because that's a positive 3, so that would be right. And then 4 down, negative 4 would be 4 down. And then I land right there, and that's the point 3, negative 4. Okay, now the little humps are not needed. They're just there for teaching purposes so you can see what I did. Okay, so I'm going to go in and erase the humps, but I'll do it again for the next one. Okay, so then we have negative 2, negative 5. So that's 2 left and then 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's that point. All right. Okay, and then 0, 4. Now 0 on the X and 4 on the Y. So 0, 4. This is your X, which means no movement. And then this is a positive 4, so it's going to be up 4. So start at 0, 0, and I move nowhere, and then I go up 4. And so that's the point 0, positive 4. Okay. Next is 5, 3, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the right, and up 3. So that would be 5, 3, 5, 3. And again, the little humps are just for teaching purposes. Negative 4, positive 2. So negative 4, positive 2, which is right here. Okay. 1, 0, 1, 0. Okay, let's think about that. That's 1 on the X, so that's a positive 1, so that's right 1, and then nowhere, no move. So it's right here. So this is 1, 0. All right, and then we can do graphs of fractions and decimals. We just have to go halfway. Notice all of the whole numbers were actually on crosshairs. This one was not going to be on a crosshair. So negative 4.5. So that's left 1, 2, 3, 4, and then halfway, and then down 1.5. So down 1, and then halfway. So there's that point right there in the middle. That's negative 4.5, negative 1.5. Okay, it's in the middle. All right, so that's how you plot points. Again, the humps are there for teaching purposes, you don't count those for the humps, but you need to be able to graph these. Now, these are locations, and these coordinates are their address. Okay, these are considered addresses. This is the location. All right, so now let's move on to the next part. Okay, so now equations. Equations on graph paper represent or create different shapes and designs. Okay, and so we're going to use this type of graph, which is what we call a two-dimensional, also known as the Cartesian plane, also known as rectangular coordinate graph. We're limited to only 2 or fewer variables. So we can create different things on this using information about an x, or we can say an information about a y, or we could do an x and a y. Okay, so the equation x equals 4 means all pairs, there should be an S in there, all pairs of numbers where the x value is 4. Okay, so here's our x value 4. And so pairs of numbers where x value is 4, so like 4, 2, 4, -3. These are pairs of numbers where the x value is 4. 4, 2 would be here. 4, -3 would be here. But this says all pairs. All pairs. So all pairs of numbers, fractions, or decimals that has an x of 4 are these points here. And if I get really microscopic, and lots of them, then these points start coming together because there are fractional and microscopic points here. And so x equals 4 is an equation for the shape of a vertical line. That's what x equals 4 is. It is a vertical line. Okay. All right. So now let's look at the next one. The next one says the equation y equal -2 is all pairs of numbers where the y value is -2. Okay, so now remember this is the y value here. And so y value of -2, let's just get random. So how about, oh, I can't put 8 on here. I don't have, that's too big. So let's do 5 and let's do -3. Okay, so those are two just randomly picked points. 5, -2 is here, and -3, -2 is here. And all pairs of numbers where the y value is 2 would be these pairs, all of these, all of those. And as I get microscopic, then this becomes a line. And there's more pairs over here, more pairs over here. All pairs, all means all. All doesn't mean 2. All means all. All pairs of numbers, hence the arrows. All pairs of numbers where the y value is 2. This is -3, 2. This is 2, -2, excuse me, -2. Okay. This is a horizontal line. Okay. Now, this next one, again, we're looking at different shapes and designs that you can create on graph paper based on the relationships with the numbers. So you can create vertical lines by saying x equal a number. You can create a horizontal line by just saying y equal the numbers. And now we're going to look at one that has x and y. This one says all pairs of numbers whose sum, which means add up to 4. Okay, so two numbers that add up to 4 will be 1 and 3. How about 0 and 4? And of course 2 and 2. And if we want to get really fancy, we could do some negative numbers. How about -2 and 6? All of those would add up to 4. These are all pairs of numbers that add up to 4. Okay, so the equation tells us the relationship between our two numbers. Here's some sample numbers. And so now let's plot these. So negative 2, 6 would be here. 1, 3 is here. 0, 4 is here. 2, 2 is here. Now, notice that these 4 points are kind of lining up, and I could put a couple more in here. How about negative 1, 5? How about 3, positive 1? Now, that's different. Okay, those are different. 1, 3 is an x1 and a y called 3, and 3, 1 is an x called 3 and a y called 1, so they're different. And so, but you see, I have all these pairs of numbers, and if I get all the ones in between them, and there's another one, there's another one, and there's another one, all pairs of numbers that add up to 4, then I get a slanted line. Or the official word is oblique or slanted. I always say slanted. It makes more sense. But it is called. So these are all lines. There are other shapes and designs that we could do. Notice there is a triangle or a couple of triangles, shapes that you could do with these lines. You could say, oh, well, all this, there are other shapes that you can make that we'll learn about maybe in another class. But equations represent on graph paper different shapes or designs based on their numbers. Okay, and so we're going to talk only about lines. Those are the ones we're focusing on. There are other shapes that you can learn about in other lessons. There's circles, there's ovals, there's other curves, there's squiggles and stuff like that, but we're only going to focus on lines. Okay, and so we've got 3 types of lines: vertical, horizontal, and slanted. The vertical lines are x equal numbers, the horizontal lines are y equal numbers, and then the slanteds, a bunch of different slanteds, have 2 variables. Okay, all right, we're going to come back to another video in just a few minutes. This is just math, y'all. You can do this.